Hello,
Oh, hi.
everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Fins Bandwagon. I'm a little flustered here because my pops has disappointed me once again. Hank, fish tank, I don't know where you are. Hope all is okay. Maybe you popped a flat tire. Maybe you're stuck at the zoo. I don't know. Living the life in Florida. I don't know where you are, but my feelings are deeply hurt. But the bandwagon and the show must go on. So, everyone, thank you again for joining us. Dolphin Thirsty, Tatiana, John, Steve, everyone, I really appreciate you taking the time to spend another episode with me. And filling in for Fish Tank Hank is the most beautiful Dolphins fan around. Bobby, how you doing? Thanks for filling in on short, late notice. I appreciate it.
My beloved brother. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay. You wonder what? The Fins bandwagon, whether there's one tire, 4 tires, 12 tires, it doesn't work. We're going to just chug along in a rickshaw. What we'll do, if I have to hire some snow dogs up in the Northwest Territories of Canada, I'll find a way to get onto this show. I'd appreciate you taking the time. So, I have to change the flow of the show a little bit.
I know
Let's
where
start
you're
here.
going.
Woo! So, the beautiful version of Hank. Okay. 48 hours later, Bobby, you had a chance to talk with Brett, who likes to put you in a mood. Give me your positive spin today. Oh, I will remove my clothes. Yeah, that was pretty funny when I flipped my hat out and all that. We're having some fun here. After yesterday's show, and you reflect on yesterday's show, and now you've had 48 hours, looking back on Sunday's game, give me a positive spin on that game. Give me something that you can hold your hat on Sunday's game. Give me something that you saw, that you felt, that is still something that is encouraging for you heading into week 6. Give me something.
Raheem Mostert, the running game, 100-plus yards. That's something that if we can continue that once our quarterback gets healthy, one of them, and our offensive line gets healthy, or, if they make a move there, that's encouraging because that's going to help a passing game that was doing pretty damn well when we didn't have a run game. So if for a silver lining or a positive thing you want me to take out of the that game there, that would be the run game, Raheem Mostert.
Okay. Part of the run game, to flip on that, because one topic you talked about last night, which was the fact that, and we know what our favorite Brett loves to talk about, is how shoddy our O-line's been and how inconsistent it's been. And that was a concern that we all had heading into the season. But we felt that with the addition of Armstead and with the addition of Williams, even though one has not been reliable injury-wise, but when he has been on there, it's been a little more stable. And Williams has been good at center, but we're feeling the effect of left guard. How is Mostert able to get 100 yards rushing with that offensive line? And with a lack of blocking? So is it just his pure skill? And if the sky is the limit, and you see the sky is the limit if we can figure out that offensive line, because somehow he was able to have his best running game, where I felt that that was one of our worst offensive line games. So for me, as a bandwagoner, I'm going to still find the silver lining in Robert Hunt and Connor Williams. Little was not whatever. Brandon Shell was, I think, a fair, reliable replacement. We know what Eichenberg, I believe Dieter should be in there. That's the positive spin I need. I think there needs to be a jump start there. But how was Mostert able to do that with the offensive line that we all think is not proving itself this year?
Well, how many touches did Mostert have? I don't have that in front of me.
He averaged 6. I know he averaged about 6 yards a carry.
Yeah.
And it was 100-something yards. So what is that? If he ran 100-something yards, 120 yards divided by 6.2, what do you have, like 20 carries? Just under 18, 20 carries?
Because I would say to me, and from what I was able to see, I mean, and Steve's kind of alluding to that when he breaks tackle, it was to me, it's ability. It's ability. And when you're on your 3rd string, 7th round rookie quarterback, you're going to run a lot more than you probably usually would, even though our head coach is a run-first type of coach, especially when he's coming from the Shanahan tree. So, I mean, yes, you're right. And, I mean, that's the point yesterday with the show, or the kind of frustration is that we knew last year the offensive line was an issue. The only thing that the Dolphins have done with this offensive line is they were signed Terron Armstead, who's an all-pro, one of the best at his position. But the biggest issue with him has been injuries throughout his career. Connor Williams, they signed the 11th best-ranked offensive guard last season, and they put him at center. Now, I did see a comment on our previous show, which was the Real Talk Fins Talk with Steve and Rob, 2 awesome dudes with great points and great takes. But but so he's talking about that, that he is not doing well at center. He actually is doing very well at center, but that is not his natural position. And you're struggling at left guard. Eichenberg, which Steve has put it so eloquently, has not been great. And I know this is the positive show, so I won't go crazy on it, but he hasn't been. I mean, there's a video out there that's famous, which all players get beat down, but it's a constant thing with Eichenberg. And God love him. I thought with Armstead to his left and Williams to his right that he was going to grow and be a better player. Hasn't been the case. The thing with Mozart, though, we know that he's probably which is crazy to say. I mean, maybe second fastest, but he's one of the fastest players on this football team, one of the fastest players in the league. That's what's so great about the potential of the team. I want to keep it positive, is that this team is so fast that when healthy, if healthy, with the pieces in place, it could be very dangerous. But with the pieces not in place, that's why you're going to get games where the running game is a no-show, or one receiver is a no-show, and one game that the receivers are no-shows and the guy's running 100 yards, because there's so many missing pieces that you could see that, oh man, if we had these pieces, if Miami focused on what was missing last year, then this would really be a second level, because everybody was projecting more than 30 points a game, 27 points a game, but it hasn't been that way so far.
No. It's much lower than we expected. No, but for me, when it comes to Eichenberg and it comes to, we'll talk about the coaching a little bit, is the fact that they're loyal. They're loyal to the people that are there, because they think that they're missing these links, and I think they're still trying to, because they gave up. They gave Igbo. I think is different because they were able to find a replacement for him and Kader Kohu and Trill Williams and that. But I think with Eichenberg, because they haven't been able to, without Austin Jackson there, I think they're still trying to fit him into a square peg into a round hole because of where he was picked, and they traded a draft pick, as I said on the previous show. And for me, I still believe he can maybe do it, but I was a big fan of Robert Jones. I think that they should be giving him a shot there. I agree with some of the other people that Dieter should be given a shot. He shouldn't be sitting there. He was originally drafted as a guard. Do something. Like, even for a game, move Williams back and then put Dieter at center. Like, try something different, because right now, especially if Skylar Thompson, who is going to start on Sunday, because I think if Teddy only gets practice on Thursday with that type of game, I think Skylar with a full week of snaps, if you're focused on the run game, I think that it will be helpful to have the more experienced line there and try to play to their strength. Like, for me, I'd be more comfortable right now with Austin Jackson at right tackle, or even Robert Jones instead of Greg Little, Hunt, who's been great, Williams and Dieter and Armstead. If we had that, I think that would lead us to a little bit. I think we'd all feel more comfortable at the end of a game. Like, try to fit it there. And perfect cue. I'm going to get to the NFL at a different point in the show, but I'll talk about it a little briefly now. I now believe right now the way the NFL is going, especially after last night, and I think it sort of connects to the Bridgewater situation. It's no longer the National Football League. It's the national flag. A flag on every single quarterback, because right now you can't touch them on the head. You can't touch them on below the knee. You can't swing and tackle. Yesterday, Chris Jones made a play that we all wish Ogba and Phillips could have made so far this year. The guy was able to tackle someone without throwing him to the ground. Where's he supposed to put his weight? He's 20 pounds. Where's he supposed to put his weight? And he stripped the ball. He's supposed to then think where he's supposed to put. Defensive player's job is to get to the quarterback. They can't then be thinking, oh, I can't touch the head. I can't touch. If they're overthinking it, then what's the point? We're not. The football is a sport, is a contact sport. And now we're basically telling that if you, Dan Marino, Steve Young, Joe Montana, they'd all have 10 times. Brady wouldn't have the most Super Bowls. Half these players their stats would be 10 times higher if they had the same rules they have now. I understand what they're trying to do to protect the league. But, for example, Teddy Bridgewater, I'm not going to tell you, Bobby, that they would have won the game. But to lose our quarterback after one play deep in the end zone, and then go to your 7th round per pick, who everyone said was phenomenal in the preseason. It's a goddamn preseason. I'm even willing to say that. It's a goddamn preseason. Was I positive on the team? Sure. But the preseason doesn't mean anything, because if the preseason meant something, the Eagles crapped the bed the entire preseason. Do we not remember how bad they were during the preseason? Come on. You can't look at it that way. The team lost, and they lost because of momentum. Dawson Thirsty and Rob said it before. For me, whether you could win the game or not, momentum matters. And what's really hurt this team throughout the entire year, and what I've been most positive about focusing on, is field position. And for me, that's still my number one problem. They're like even Brett said yesterday, they shouldn't be deferring, because 5 coin tosses, they kick off the ball, and what ends up happening is they finally get a 3 and out, and it ends up at their 2-yard line. And that team, as we know, with the butt punt and everything like that, that's not where they need to focus. They need to be more strategic about how they adopt their special team play. And that's the one area where I'm saying to myself that they need to improve upon. Like, I'm on the bandwagon, but the one area where right now is the bothersome for me, more than the O-line, is special teams, because it changes the momentum of a game. You miss a field goal, you miss a tackle on special teams where they start at your 45, it makes the biggest difference in the world. So for me, this team in 2 games has been affected by special teams. Special teams is supposed to be complementary to your team, and they're supposed to help you win games, not lose you games. But what they've been doing is they've been putting us back, and they've been hurting us and not helping us. And that's a problem for me. That's one thing for me. So that's one area where, for me, getting Fedulin back, getting Ethan Carter hopefully back will help. But right now, it's the one area where, for me right now, more than even Boyer, because Boyer is missing X or missing Jones. We've had most of our – we've had Sanders, we've had most special teams. Do something. Bring in easy – I don't know what you have to do, but Crossman, see ya. Like, I don't understand it. They have to figure that out. Right now, let's focus on a little bit more of let's talk about Grier quickly. You were really down on Grier yesterday. You guys, he should have been fired. For me, I don't like the half and half. I agree with you. I've experienced that in other sports in Montreal, where big hockey, big everything. Tell me, at least, give me 3 positive things that Grier has done away from Tyreek Hill and away from Mike McDaniel. Give me 3 positive things that you could say he has done well for this team this year on the field. 3. It's the bandwagon. You have to come up with 3.
3 things he has done well besides Tyreek and hiring Coach McDaniel. Signing Armstead, who's not healthy, an all-pro tackle at the left tackle spot when your quarterback's blind side is the right side.
You can't do it, can you?
No. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Kader Kohu. That's quick. You don't trust Kader Kohu?
That sounds like
you?
Well, he's in charge.
That's a positive.
I'll give you
Thomas Morstead is the only real positive thing I see in the special teams. Like, he's been kicking the ball. Like, he's giving you the field position. The problem is it's the return. It's the blockers and the tacklers who can't tackle.
Yeah.
Right now, that's really hurting us. That's and then the other thing for me is, what's my third?
That's more the scouting department, though, too.
It's more, but he's part of the scouting department.
I agree.
Right?
No, I know. He's in charge of it. But
like, Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie didn't just come to work under Chris Grier to thumb their noses. Unless they're looking to replace him, they're the reason why they want to work with him. They like him. There has to be a reason why they're
he's a likable guy. He's a likable guy.
The problem is...
Only until after you get fired and he blames you.
Okay. And for me, the other... Exactly. So I think Kader Kohu's not been a problem. For me, it's Thomas Morstead. And on the offensive aspect of it, the key for me is, what's my offensive? Because offensive has been a little offensive for me. The other offensive thing has been... let's think of a good... Come on, bandwagoners. What's been great?
on offense, I mean, but again, I would say Sherfield, right? But Sherfield is more of a McDaniel.
Craycraft has been fine.
But he's McDaniel too, because he came from 49ers.
McDaniel too, yeah.
But
for me right now, the problem for me with Chris Grier, and the reason why I still believe in him, as an overall, the reason I still believe in Chris Grier, and I'm going to give you a positive overall for Chris Grier.
I see that.
Is the fact that, for me, is the fact that he at least knows this year he's trying to go for it, in the sense that he went to go get Tyreek Hill, and he wasn't just going to rely on Jalen Waddle and Cedric Wilson. We needed a left tackle. He went to get one. We needed some more corners. He went to get them. He knew we needed a backup. He went to get them. The only falter is that, unfortunately, we got players who have a tendency to get injured. I think he does realize, though. I do think he knows that his job is on the line, and I do believe his job is on the line. The problem, like you all talked about last night, is McDaniel. McDaniel sort of has to outplay Grier, meaning that he might be friends with Grier, but he basically has to win in spite of Grier, meaning that with the players that he has now, he has to win. And that's where he has to do it. Because if he can win without Howard and without Jones and without Tua, and he's able to take these diamonds or these not diamonds, if he's able to take these rocks and turn them into diamonds, that will show his worth. And that's where I want to get to the title of the show, which I had called this today. Where is it? I had it. I listened to him very carefully. The opportunity of adversity is real to me. Let's get to McDaniel. For me, with McDaniel, he always has talked about, and why I've been a fan of his, is he's preached the fact that he doesn't want to get the praise when we're winning. He wants to get the praise when we're losing and we win. So the fact that he doesn't mind being in this position because he believes adversity will make him a better coach. He didn't adapt well, so strike one. But I think he now realizes that he better have that his job and his livelihood that he's been fighting for, yes, it's only 5-6 games in, is important because people are going to remember this because of all the other coaches that are doing well. O'Connell's doing well. Dayball's doing well. Other coaches who were hired are doing well, and you have now been given more weapons than you need to be. Because you want to know what? Even Tyreek Hill said this, which sort of put McDaniel in a little bit of a pickle. I can catch from Marcel Louis-Jacques. So if I can catch from him, should be able to catch from Skylar Thompson. I should be able to catch. So for me, McDaniel, this game here, I believe that this is going to be his best coach game ever this Sunday because of he knows that last week he crapped the bed and he better prove it this week because the fans won't forgive him for this. Even with Skylar Thompson, because now you have the running game. You say that you can be with adversity, you're able to succeed. You could prove us wrong. Prove the haters wrong. Prove to people that all the years of coaching, all the years that you've learned under all these other people, that you can now go beat Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. This is your perfect opportunity. You're at home. On the road, it's a little tougher. You're at home. You have a full week. Put the pedal to the metal. Pretend Skylar Thompson's your quarterback and plan for him. You planned well for him in the preseason. I understand it's the preseason, but you still planned for him. You had to plan games around him. Now plan a game plan around him. You were successful in the preseason. Now find a way to make it work now. Okay?
Yeah, so I get that point. The other thing, and you're right. Brian Daboll, Kevin O'Connell, they're doing great. Giants are 4-1. The Vikings, which I had picked to win the NFC North. Other people picked the Packers, but the Vikings are a very talented football team, and I liked O'Connell coming from the Rams. But, McDaniel is still a rookie coach. And, these guys were interviewed with lots of teams for a reason. I think the Dolphins, and like I said, I think this was my first take from it, and you know this better than anybody. My first take as to why he was brought on or why, he was the only one interviewed was because they had a David Cooley type plan with the whole Peyton and everything else. But McDaniel did what most people were surprised. I mean, especially I believe those in the higher ups in the organization was that they fell in love with this guy. First of all, not just with the players, the way he treated the media, the way he treated the fans, the way he treated the people in the building. And he's a young coach and he's facing adversity, which is good that he gets it now. The crappy thing is that Grier's been here for almost 20 plus years. And that was my point yesterday, that the Dolphins keep recycling everybody and keeping one guy and let go another. That my hope, I would not be against, I don't want to get ahead of it, but I would not be against the clearing of the house if the team falters, which this team is too talented too. And you brought up a great point yesterday through the comments, through the trolling. You said one good thing was that the AFC is wide open and the Dolphins are too talented to miss it. The problem is that the adversity that Miami has, the holes on this roster, not provided by or not fixed by Chris Grier, could affect the team in the playoffs. I think that if McDaniel could get past it with a full focus of an offseason with the team, yes, get his staff together because obviously Boyer and the defense are not showing up right now. Special teams with Crossman are not showing up right now. That he could actually help fix this team because I think you need to have adversity and either overcome it. And that sometimes what happens is you either get fired if that does happen. And I think that if he gets another opportunity, which I'm not saying to fire him, but he would be better as a head coach because then he faced adversity here, So I'm not as, I agree with you. You want to see a little more emotion on the sideline, but that comes over time. It's just about knowing when the call plays, what type of play call, because he called a lot of bad play calls during that game. There was a lot of calls where it left you scratching your head. But you got to remember too. I mean, this is his first. He's not under Shanahan anymore. He's on his own. He got 3. He started 3-0, which was amazing. But remember the first game we kind of went at it because you, me, Justin, because with Neil, because I said, man, there were things that I was seeing that I did not like from our offense. The second game, it's the same. And even the Baltimore game, the first 3 quarters, it was the fourth quarter and the second half that lit it up. But the first half, which you brought up eloquently, this is a second half football team. They don't play all 4 quarters. They play in the second half. They come back a little alive. Of course, against the Jets game, they didn't. They got destroyed. Yeah. It was 40-17. I think our guest your co-host has popped in. Let me double check.
At 8:30?
Yep, he's here. Hold on.
Holy crap, man.
There he is. There he is.
I got stuck in a restaurant, guys.
Once a week, Hank. Once a week, I need you to give me 30 minutes of your time.
I know.
Once a week.
I totally messed up. I went.
Are we in an abusive relationship here?
I thought it was going to be like an hour. It wound up being 2 hours before I could get out of there.
I feel like a Miami Dolphin fan. I feel like there's a conspiracy against me here. Can I ask,
was the food good at least?
The food was fabulous. I had pork chops. It was at Carrabba's.
Ooh, okay. All right. Well, I thought I'd step in for you, so I didn't leave our brother here by himself.
Yeah, I love the fact that you did that. I didn't mean to leave anybody hanging. I'm sorry, everybody.
As long as you're okay, that's all that matters to me.
I am now taking 1 week hiatus from trolling.
You're not going to troll me. All right.
Oh, I won't troll. No, I'll make you feel bad for the next week. That's all.
And man, I'm sorry if I took up too much of your time, man. But go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for it. So let's backtrack a little bit and then we'll catch up. Please, if you want to back out at one point, Bobby, go for it. But let's give Hank a chance to express how he felt because he hasn't been able. So Hank.
Yes, sir.
I'll forgive you this one time because you're my pops and I enjoy you.
Well, thank you, son.
Okay, so take a moment. We have not heard from the great fish tank, Hank. Your reaction to Sunday's game. Take a few minutes. We're going to take a break here. We're all going to sit here and relax. After Fins Talk after the post-game show, after Fins Talk overtime, everyone's had a chance to really express themselves. There's been a lot of emotions, a lot of different perspectives. You're on Twitter. You see what's been going on, the polarizing aspect, which we'll get to after. But just take a few minutes, reflect on the game and how you're feeling, how you felt after the game, and how you feel now about where the Dolphins are at.
Wow. That was a lot to chew on. Well, I was close on the score. It was the wrong team, but I was close on the score.
You were.
I just want, because everything here's got to be a positive. So there you go. I was pretty close.
You were pretty close. Awesome.
Let's just say that's the best thing I can say as far as how the game actually went for Miami. I mean, I don't know what happened. The wheels fell off the bus in the fourth quarter. But no, they put the rookie in. The Bridgewater thing really shocked me that they took him out. I was like, I understand being careful, but geez, nothing really happened with the guy. So I was just like, I was totally amazed that Skyler was in there, to be honest. He was not ready to be in there. There's no way. But that's all right. Hey, he got a little bit of time. He got to do his thing,
True.
Which you wanted a little bit of action for the kid, but you wanted him to at least have a little time with the number ones to play a little bit. I mean, at least a week of practice for a rookie. So all in all, it went pretty good. The NFL does not want us to win. Okay, Q, I got you, man.
Oh, he is so down on the NFL. It's a conspiracy. Because I even made a comment before he came on. After what happened last night in the Kansas City game and what happened with Brady and the Falcons, this is now they're using the Tua injury, and it's now become a flag football league. You cannot touch a quarterback. You cannot. You've been watching the Dolphins you've been watching the NFL for so long. I've never seen. Imagine Marino would have had multiple Super Bowls because how many times he got killed Like Steve Young, Troy, all these players, they used to get crushed. Now you can't even touch the quarterback before there's a flag thrown, and it's all because Tua? All because
exactly.
of that? Talk about going to extremes.
Freaking Tua, man. I'm totally not just kidding.
When in doubt, blame Tua. I love Tua. Love Tua.
Yeah, Cube, there was no wobble or nothing. I mean, I've rewatched the tape a few times, and there's no wobble.
Oh, they leaked.
No, nothing.
Nothing. It's become.
I don't know.
But how do you? Okay, but do you feel like the team? I'll put it to you in a framework, because I already know where Bobby stands. Even after that first play with Bridgewater, had he stayed in the game, was that before? Did that change the whole game? Would the team still had a better chance to win if Teddy was in the whole game versus Skyler? Do you think that changed the momentum?
Absolutely,
because the guy below you doesn't think so.
Skyler wasn't ready. That's why I think there would have been a completely different outcome. Teddy Bridgewater was ready. This was his moment. He's been waiting for years to latch on somewhere and be a starter. And that was his opportunity, and it got blown up by some stupid spotter that doesn't know crap from a hole in the ground and takes him out of the game. That's ridiculous. But on the positive side, Teddy got a good rest, and Skyler got some time in.
Yeah. Okay. We talked about this briefly, and I talked about it before, but we're going to catch up a little bit. I called the show today because this is what McDaniel said word for word. The opportunity adversity is real to me. He's talked about how he doesn't want to get praise on the 3-0 start. He wants to be measured on when they go on a losing streak. From the Cincinnati game to the the Jets game, he saw adversity and he didn't adapt. Tell me what your thoughts on McDaniel now. I think he needs to light a fire under this team, and he needs to show a lot more emotion. He needs to be more. He has to turn these negatives into positives and really get more excited. Like Dayball's reaction when the Packers were lost to the Giants, and like you see different players. You see last night. You see even Reed gets excited. There's a lot. I feel like right now he needs to get past the analytical nature and talking in code and be more positive. So what are your thoughts right now on McDaniel and how he handled the game, and give me a way how he's going to overcome this adversity, and how do you believe he can?
Well, McDaniel, first of all, I think I think a little differently than you do on the subject. I think that I think that he's doing fine underneath the current conditions. I did see him lose his cool a little bit on the sideline, so he's got a fire in him. He's got a fire in him. But at the same time, I think his level-headedness and the fact that there were so many people out that game, you're missing your top two cornerbacks and you're playing the game against those types of wide receivers, you're going to have some troubles. And coming in with the Vikings, you might run into some of the same of that. But McDaniel himself, I think he's doing all right. I'm worried more about Boyer. That's who I'm concerned with, the defensive coach. That's the guy I'm concerned completely with, because he's not adapting. He's not making any changes. McDaniel made the changes as fast as he could in a week for a righty, and I think the game plan would have went much better had Teddy been in the ball game, but Teddy was not. So we have to take what we get. You know what I mean?
Let me just take a moment. Everyone, thank you for watching the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is the best network for Dolphins talk, Dolphins football, the Heat, the WWE, everything. Don't forget to smash and like and subscribe. So, Cap, are you saying that because Cap, everyone, you're asking me would I take that bet? I believe the Dolphins are going to win their next 3 games. So if you want to take that bet, I'll take that bet. But
Hank, Cap for Life is asking for you, me, and Evan. If you were to bet $500, would you bet $500 for Miami to win the next 3 games? Would you take that bet if somebody offered it to you?
Who are we playing? We're playing the Vikings,
the Steelers, the Vikings,
and the Lions. I'd take that bet.
Yeah, I'd take that bet. I think Miami will win it. Is that what you're asking me? Will Miami win the next?
Because all Skyler has to do, Pank, Skyler has to win this week if he plays. Then we have Bridgewater against or Tua, who will be back against the Steelers. I think Tua's going to do everything he can to get back against the Steelers. And the Lions are are no. You saw what they're. Look what they did with the Patriots. I'm not worried about the Lions. I am not worried about the Lions anymore.
Let me give a shout out here. Hey, what's up, John? Thirsty, Q, Cap for Life.
Okay.
Sorry I'm late.
Okay, I'm about to give you a very tough question. A very tough question, Hank.
Yeah.
Me, Mr. Bandwagoner himself, the driver of the bus. I don't know if you paid attention to, if you had a chance to watch the post-game show, where I'm not on the bandwagon and where somebody is lying behind. My beef is with two people, Jason Sanders and Danny Crossman. For me, Jason Sanders, I want to give you a stat. He's 2 for 8. 2 for 8 in 50-yard field goals in the last 2 seasons. That's 25%. The rest of the time, he's in the late 80s. This is one of the top 5 kickers in the league, and he has flipped the field on us 2 games in a row. And Danny Crossman, with the way has killed us on field position. The amount every single game another team has started with great field position because he can't get anyone to tackle. And I don't want to hear about Fedulum not playing and Carter not playing. That's 2 players on the field. So give me a positive outside of Morstead. Find me a positive of Danny Crossman and Jason Sanders. Give me a positive so I can get on the bandwagon with special teams. Or am I beating a dead horse?
Well, first of all, he's had some screw-ups, but they were very close screw-ups too on a lot of them. I don't know. Kickers are an enigma with me. So you're asking me this is a hard question for me. Probably one of the hardest I've ever been asked, Evan. So good job.
Go.
How do you get on board with a kicker? Well, you just have to kind of trust them and let them do their job. And until he turns it around, you're going to wonder each kick, is he going to do it this time or not? Especially with a 2 and 8, that's not cutting the mustard, not for somebody that's supposed to be a top kicker. So in my opinion, he'll get it turned around. You're only 5 games in. I don't see him continuing on that path.
Okay.
Can I just
go for it? Go for it, Mr. Positive.
Well, I just want to say you said it's 2 and 8, and that's a bad number, right? That's 2 for 8. 2 for 8. Yeah. 2 for 8. That's 10 times he's had to kick.
That's
from
horrible.
50 plus 5. But isn't that a knock against the offense that they can't get past that point? That for him to come in and kick that far, that's a knock on the offense. I mean, it's tough for a kicker, and he's one of the top kickers in the league. Any team would sign him if we cut him today.
I'm about to flip it on you.
Okay,
you know which kicker has more kicks than 50 yards than him in the last 2 seasons? Because they rely on him? Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
So Lamar Jackson, Mr. Lamar Jackson, future Miami Dolphin.
No, not
kicks from 50 plus all the time.
That's a brick thing. But I'm just going to say though, but you know how I am. It's about the Dolphins. And what is that, yes, when you have Tyreek Hill, that's going to be a lot of deep balls, but that's a knock against the Dolphins offense that they can't get past the 50-yard line for our kicker to get a closer thing, that they can't get to the end zone. So they rely on our kicker to kick past plus 50 yards 10 times in 4 games. So to me, that's a knock against. I know, yes, you're right. He should be making. That's what we pay him to do. But 10 times we've been trusting him to make a plus 50-yard kick. Yeah. That's a knock on the offense. Okay.
So I'm now going to go to a more fun topic because this is a good topic for Bobby too. Let's take a look at the poll before we get to the different areas of the team, and I want to look at the bipolar nature of this fan base. We all know, like for me, I consider Brett, if you take Brett and Bobby and what they talked about last night, they are actually on the bandwagon when you compare themselves to TD Fins talk example, where Skylar Thompson is the best quarterback we have on this team. Why is it?
I know you saw that video you're talking about. I don't know when that was. I don't know when that video was. I don't know when it was.
It was on Sunday. It was after the game.
Oh, okay.
And he went at it with Nick from Perform.
I saw that.
Well, the reason I'm asking that question, and I want to understand, what is it about this team and our fan base that even with a winning record, and I did this, Bobby mentioned this last night, Brett, I look at the AFC and I looked at the teams. And at the beginning of the year, all these teams were going to be better. Indy was going to be better. The Raiders were going to be better. The Broncos were going to be better. There were so many teams that were going to be better. We're 3-2, and we've had major injuries as a result. These teams are still losing these games with their superstar players in the league. Russell Wilson is there. Derek Carr is there. Devontae Adams is there. Jerry Jeudy is there. They're all there. Matt Ryan's there. Jonathan Taylor was there for the first 2 games. My point is why is it? What is it about the polarizing nature of this fan base? The moment we're 3-2, we're just at the quarter point of this season that they all of a sudden are knocking every single aspect of this team. I would say at the halfway point, if we're going to be now 3-5, let's have a talk about that. But the fact that we are still we're still one of the top 5 teams in the league. I'm not saying we're in the playoffs in that sense. I'm saying that what is it about our team that makes people, is it the media? I want to hear about the mediocrity. We have Tyreek Hill. We have Jalen Waddle. Tua will come back. Why is it that people are so jumping off the bandwagon of the passion of this team so easily? Why is it? Why do you think this is?
Bobby?
Oh, you're asking me or you're asking Hank?
Both of you.
Oh, you want me to go, Hank? I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I don't know about the TD thing. I don't know when that was.
He's an example.
Yeah, but it's just what this team has gone through.
Even Brett last night, he ripped it. Why is it? I understand you're looking at Grier, but look at the team. You even said before the weapons are still strong enough to get them.
I'll tell you why, Evan. I got an answer for you, Evan.
What is it?
The reason why it's continuously year after year after year after year the Dolphins lose. They start, no matter how they start off, they continue to drop the ball before we even get halfway through the season. Now that they've lost 2 games in a row, everybody's starting to panic. That's what always happens. That's the bottom line of what's going on. That's why they're so damn bipolar or whatever you want to call them, is because they finally get that taste of winning, and then they get a couple losses, and then those memories from 20 plus years of doing nothing start to come back. And that's what's driving the whole thing, in my opinion.
But
John, PTSD for 20 years.
20, yeah, and then but also from the past couple years, we started 3-0 in 2018. Steve brought it up to me just a little while ago on the last show, and that was Brett's point yesterday. We were 3-0 a couple years ago with Tannehill and Adam Gase, who was the next quarterback offensive guru that we hired, and we started 3-0 right now. And it's starting, and the flaws.
16 or 18.
Yeah, it was 18, 2018.
Yeah, but one thing you guys mentioned about 18, though, 18 wasn't his first year.
Whose first year?
It wasn't Gase's first year, 18?
It doesn't matter. We were 3-0 that year. And
Who cares? But it wasn't a first-year coach. And it was an experienced quarterback at the time. It's not the same thing.
Is Tua not an experienced quarterback?
This is his first. This
is his third. This is his third year.
The first year doesn't count. He was supposed to be redshirt. That was. Want to have that fight tonight?
Don't get me going. Do not get me going. Let me finish the point. This is the problem.
He still has a winning record, mind you.
The problem is the fans that are getting angry. The fans that are getting angry are the ones that remember. The fans that are saying, "Wait, but it's only his first year in a new system," have nearsighted memory. They don't remember. They have this, what do you call that when you can't remember something? Alzheimer's.
Selective.
Fans, yeah.
It's called selective memory, sir.
I know, but I don't.
I am your selective memory.
The fact of the matter is, and a lot of fans don't. A lot of fans remember. Hank will always check. Hank checks me a lot where I'll say, Hank, and he'll say, but Bobby, look at this. And that's true. But he will call it as he sees as well. And the fact is that we started 3-0 not too long ago. There's years where we go Chris Grier, Dumakan Sue, whatever his name is, Sue, Mike Wallace, Brandon Marshall, except we go crazy. We sign these big guys and we got all hyped up. The 2018, we go 3-0. Ryan Tannehill is having a great year till he goes out to Arizona and gets injured. We've had these years. We've seen this movie before. It's the same thing. And the problem is, yes, Tyreek Hill is an amazing. Tyreek with Jalen Waddle and Tua looks great the first 3 weeks. Tua gets hurt. Now that you start seeing the offense like, oh, well, he held the ball too long. But look at the left guard, Eichenberg. We knew that was an issue. We knew Eichenberg was an issue. Terran Armstead is out with an injury. Holy hell. Who would have said that? Everybody, because he has an injury history. He's not your blindside tackle. Greg Little, Austin Jackson is your blindside tackle. You trust that with your left-handed quarterback, that's your blindside. It's the same issues year after year after year. And the common denominator is Chris Grier. Didn't mean to make a rhyme there. So you say we say it's bipolar. I say it's just people who don't forgetful. The bipolar ones are the ones that like to forget recent memory. Yes, Tyreek Hill, number 10, he's living up to expectations. Tua so far in 3 games has been consistent. People could say take out the fourth quarter of the Baltimore game, but the numbers have been good. He's been consistent. The problem is though that it's also been consistent is the holes of this football team. Offensive line. Hank and I in the very first few episodes of Fins Talk today, a year ago or 2 years ago when we were talking with the Flores situation, before the season started, there was a lot of nice things to say about this football team, but the thing we were concerned about was offensive line. Guess what? A year later, we're saying the same thing, and we're halfway through.
It's been 10 years, 20 years.
It's not bipolar. It's PTSD. It's a fact that this team now is 0-2, and we could say, oh, well, Tua's out. Oh, well, this guy's out. But there's bigger issues for this football team besides the injuries.
You have players that are on the field that aren't making tackles too. You're not getting to the quarterback. Hello, we signed Ogba for a reason.
That's
right. We signed him for a reason.
We re-signed him. We extended him, which rightfully so. He's earned it. But where is he? He only has 1 sack, which Steve and Rob brought up just earlier. It's Groundhog's Day. It's the same thing. And you know what? This team is that's why, to me, I know the holes of this team, and I will preach it because I've been calling it. There's a lot of holes on this football team that are biting them in the ass. Linebacker, things like that.
Yeah, the fan base is the biggest hole right now.
But yeah, this team is too talented not to make the playoffs. But are they not? They're not. I don't think they have the depth to make any kind of noise in the playoffs. And that's why it's just what it is. It's not bipolar. It's PTSD.
Hey, at least they'll have their 3 quarterbacks ready to play.
Let me ask you a straight up question, Bobby.
Yes, sir.
Bobby.
Hey,
Tua doesn't go out in the Buffalo game. Tua does not go out in the Buffalo game. I'm asking the question. He plays a full game of Cincinnati. Full game. Plays last week. What's our record? Confidently. 5. Confidently. What's our record?
Well, what did I tell you if I said he didn't leave the I already told you what happens in the Cincinnati game. They didn't win that game. I don't care if Tua would have played the whole game. They wouldn't have won that game.
And Sunday?
The Jets game?
Yeah.
That was an overall team flop. The defense, the offense.
So you don't think the quarterback makes a difference? Enough. You don't think he makes
a difference, but the defense
you don't think he made enough of a difference. You don't think he makes enough of a difference on this team this year? You think they still be 3-2?
Well, what was the game before? No, the Jets game was after Cincinnati.
I think we'd still be 3-2.
It's an overall team flop. Absolutely. 3-2.
But you think the Cincinnati game, if he didn't go out, even when he has not been consistent, because remember what he looked like in the first half of the Baltimore game on the road. He always picked it up in the fourth quarter. You're telling me with a straight face we'd still be in the same boat whether we had Skyler, Teddy, or Tua?
Yes.
You really believe that?
Yeah, because does Tua play defense? Does Tua play defense? Does he play right tackle and left guard? Does he not?
He keeps the offense on the field longer. He keeps the offense on the field longer.
I like what he can do, but you had a defense that didn't hold up. You got to remember, there's more to it than just the offense.
But there was more flow to the offense with Tua there, and you
give up 40 points.
But there wasn't though in that Cincinnati game, and we could play and we could pretend. Oh, look,
but there was no flow in the Baltimore game.
And that's fine. And we could pretend, oh, well, look what he did against Baltimore. He would have done that against you can't do that week after week after week. And guess what?
Not every week you're gonna throw 6 touchdowns.
The Dolphins look, you know, Tua obviously is going to be better with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Tua's been in the league for 3 years. He's been with the team for 3 years. Him and Mike McDaniel have a chemistry together. McDaniel should have that with his other 2 quarterbacks because he's coached them as much as he's coached Tua, which is only 4 games in a regular season. You know, but again, it falls on coaching. Coaching was not ready. There was bad play calls in that Jets game. And yes, you know, and Hank, thank you. You know, you put me on the spot, but yes, the Dolphins would still be 3-2 if Tua was the quarterback.
Definitely.
The bigger issues than the quarterback.
If Tua is the quarterback on Sunday,
and
over the next 3 games,
yes.
Which 3 quarterbacks gives you the best chance to win next game? Which quarterback?
What have I said?
Tua.
Yeah. Why is that even a
Tua?
question?
There's no doubt it's Tua.
But for me, because personally for me, and I think you can use San Francisco as an example because the first game was an example. Look at what Jimmy G's doing now in a system that Trey Lance couldn't do. That Trey Lance couldn't do last year when he tried to do it. He got injured in the first game. For me, I have a feel. There's just something that I'm going to harp on the entire year. McDaniel is okay working with Teddy. It's lip service. He's okay to work with Tyler. He has staked his season and the flow of his team in the belief that he's BFFs with Tua. Tua, I think, knows that finally he has someone because he had an abusive coach to him, the way he was treated. He needed. Oh, you're going to start doing this? Because I'm going to throw this back in your face and I'm going to keep on saying this. Flo is the reason. I think Boyer has not done a good job, but stop with the Flo nonsense, and he's the reason. Because you want to know what? I don't care what Pittsburgh is in a rebuilding year. Look at that defense.
Who's the defensive coordinator?
Wait a minute.
He's not the coordinator of the – you said that earlier, Flo's defense. Flo's not the defensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He's a defensive line, and they're stinking it up.
Bullshit. I mean, come on, dude. Sorry. Austin. Austin, what is that? Oh, you there? Sorry, I heard some other voice.
But they're supposed to be a superstar defense, and they're supposed to be a superstar defense.
Stop. The defense is horrible. Boyer's running our defense. He's the reason. You got to look at the common denominator, and you love to point that out.
Okay.
You're the biggest one.
Then
Look
I blame Coach Lem. Then I blame Coach Lem for still being there. Get rid of Lem, get rid of Boyer, get rid of Crossman, get rid of everybody.
Finite. This is the positive show, bro.
But I'm laughing
still. Bandwagon.
I'm trying to get him going.
No. This is the positive show.
I am positive. I'm still positive.
What I want to hear from you, Evan, is how can this season be turned around and saved? Who's going to save it? Is it going to be Tua? Is it going to be getting our DBs back? Is it going to be Phillips and
my spark? Is
it going to be our O-line holding up?
The spark. We said
what's it going to be?
Okay, the spark right now is it's threefold. I said this on the post-game show. I said it last night. There's a lack of leadership right now in all the key positions where you need to be successful. The leader of the defense is not there in Howard. He hasn't been 100% all year. X is an important part of that defense, especially if Jones can't be there. At least when Howard was there, they listened to Howard. Okay. If you have him there, it makes a difference.
I'll give you Howard. I'll give you Howard. Who's next?
Armstead, whether the offensive line is whatever, you need your captain of the offensive line. Armstead gives people a sense of confidence when he's there. Whether he's on the blind side or not, you have a positive captain there. Same thing with Tua. For me, the reason why they won the first 3 games is the leadership of the captains at each of the individual positions. For me now, if they don't have those 3 players come Sunday, then it falls on McDaniel to nominate pseudo-captains to cover for these players. So like I said, on the offensive line, play around with it a little bit. Bring in Dieter, bring in Jones, do something to spark that offensive line. I'm going to get Bobby. I'm going to fly him down to Miami personally and tell him to go find Ingold, because I'm going to have an easier time digging for gold in the snow of Montreal than Ingold is playing fullback this year. Where the heck is he? I do not know. If Ingold can actually make some holes for the ball, can actually block and make some holes and give the quarterback a little more time to throw, I think that's going to make a very, very big difference. For me, the spark, they need to get one of their captains back. In each of the positions, that's going to be the spark. And also, a trade could happen. For me, I bring in a kicker.
You got it, John. Exactly.
Not even a right tackle. Whoa. I was basically saying I wanted Dwayne Brown at the right tackle the entire season. Like, why he's on the Jets and not on the Dolphins, I do not know. I would have brought in Dwayne Brown on one side, and I would have had Armstead on the other. They had the cap space to do it.
Let's go with what we do have. What is your positive thoughts toward the Vikings
positive thoughts
game?
Right now
toward the Vikings game alone? For
the Viking games alone?
Yes.
The fact that it's a home game. The fact that it's a home game. Hank's going to be there.
Skylar Thompson.
That's the spark. That's the spark.
And Skylar Thompson.
Shirtless Hank.
Skylar Thompson's going to have a week to throw. The guy has an arm. He actually is experienced with his time in college.
Oh, you think he's playing?
What?
I think he is.
Skylar Thompson's playing. I would not start Bridgewater from Thursday. He's missing 2 days of practice. I would not start him. I would start Thompson. For me, my spark has to be Mike McDaniel. I need to check your pulse. He hasn't had a pulse the last 2 weeks. He's too effing calm.
What the hell?
He hasn't had a pulse the last 2 weeks. The guy has to get.
Did you ever watch Tom Landry?
I'm not worried about this. Isn't the 1970s and 80s. This is 2021.
I'm just saying the man can be smooth and still be complete.
I was after the game. In order for me to feel good about my Dolphins, I had to watch Brian Dable on a loop walk into that tunnel. He got me fired up. You need to show emotion. You have to get your team show that you care. Every time there was a bad play, he's looking at his call sheet. Show some emotion. Robert Saleh, when the team made a great play on the field, motivating his team.
I'm just
saying this team. I'm saying this team is at a point right now where they need emotion. I don't care. Does Kristen Wilkins need to threaten to tackle everybody?
You want McDaniel to be Brian Flores in emotion?
No, Brian Flores was a misery. No,
but that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, you are, because he was full of emotion on the sideline.
No, he wasn't. When he was pissed, he was never happy.
I'm just
saying. He was never happy. Never happy.
McDaniel, listen, you could say that last week or this last game, play calling was
folks
bad.
Out there see what I'm dealing with here? Look,
you can
it's
say
a battle
that
the whole time. It's supposed to be a positive show.
If you would have been here on time, it would have been. I'd be in the back. But
it's not your fault, Hank.
Just remember, like I told Evan last time, unavoidably detained. I'm never late.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Can
I just say is that look, McDaniel's
my
a rookie.
Sweetie took precedence. I had to feed her
forever
and always. I didn't know that the idiots were gonna come back to my table, but once every 20 minutes. Oh, can I take your order 20 minutes later after I gave you something to drink?
Hey,
give me a break.
It's all good.
Whoa. Icy roads in Montreal hasn't snowed here yet. The bandwagon is always going to be here because no matter what, I always find a silver lining. For me, that line is going to keep on moving. So
yeah, you're damn right.
Let's turn some lemons into lemonades. Let's turn some lemon into lemonades.
Yeah, let's please start doing that.
Okay. So Hank,
5%.
Who is in the running game, in the overall running game? Give me your biggest lemon. And tell me what it will take to turn him into lemonade. Give me your weakest offensive running guy, and turn him into lemonade for me.
We're being specific now.
Yes.
Give me your weakest offensive running guy. So the weakest running back, and how do we make our weakest running back?
I know where you're going.
You just trying to get to me on who's our weakest running back? Is that what you're doing?
We need a scale of 1 to 2. It's either Edmonds or Ingold to go for.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, it's Ingold.
And what do we do to turn him around? Send Bobby to do meditation with him? What do we do?
What you do is you first get the offensive line to block properly, and then you'll be able to use Ingold the way he's supposed to.
But shouldn't he be blocking better, giving more time to the quarterback?
I'm talking that Ingold will give time, but the offensive line is not working. And without it working, it doesn't matter who you have in the backfield.
I love that guy. It's my dude right there, man.
Okay, Bobby.
No, Hank already answered for me.
I'm switching categories. Categories.
Okay. All right.
Offensive line, biggest lemon, and turn him into lemonade. So we know who the lemon is, so turn him into lemonade for me. Let's go.
Can you take him out?
You have to use the. I'm going to make it harder for you because we all know who the lemon is, and basically he's from South Bend. So turn him into lemonade for me. What do we do?
No, there's 2 lemons, and I will tell you how to fix it right now.
Go ahead.
Person. How do you fix that person?
How do you fix it? Get him out of the damn lineup. That's how you fix it. What's the problem? Eichenberg, you're talking about? Get him out of the lineup. Or Greg Lill. Those are lemons. The offensive line is a lemon. Robert Hunt is the only positive thing on this offensive line right now. Connor Williams is still he's done well for playing center, but he's still throwing high snaps. And the issue is if you had a decent left guard, you can leave Connor at center. It worked out just fine, but you don't. You have a horrible left guard. Move Connor Williams to left guard, his natural position. Put Dieter at center. If you're not going to go get a center, you move. You keep Austin Jackson at right tackle, or if you want to do that, when Jackson comes back, you put him at left guard, and you put Robert Hunt or Robert Jones at right tackle. That's again. It goes back to the start of the season. Terran Armstead is a sexy name, and he's one of the best who plays at his position when he's playing. The problem is every year there's a time he comes out of the game for a few games during the season. Miami knew that. And what's the common denominator too? We love to sign players who are injured.
Coach Lem.
Chris Grier.
Coach
Grier.
Lem.
Chris
Coach
Grier.
Lem. Coach
Always
Lem.
signing hurt people for big money.
So, but yeah, my thing is those two are the lemons, and how do you get them out? You just get them
Coach
out. And Greg Little's a backup, so I don't want to keep hammering on him. He's a backup, but Jackson should come back. Jackson, we'll see how he does. He did look okay, not great. He looked okay. He looked like he was getting better. He was in the great shape when he played this offseason. We'll see.
Negativity.
But I haven't said no. I'm just being real.
No, I'm thinking of the comments.
Oh, I haven't seen the comments. But Eichenberg is he needs to ride the bench, dude. And God bless him. I thought he would do well with Armstead and Williams to his left and his right, but he hasn't. It's just not there. And we can hammer on Brett. You can hammer on Brett all you want, but he's been calling it from way before the season. Nobody was listening to him. And Eichenberg has been
Brett's a Ravens fan. We know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been saying for how many years I worry about the offensive line. Give me
it's
a
the
break.
same, and that's the problem, right, Hank?
Well, let me ask
It
you
hasn't
something.
changed yet.
Let me ask you though.
That's our problem.
But let me ask you.
That's
Here's
one
a
of our
really.
biggest problems.
But what is it? Because Flores had bad coaching of the offensive line. Now you're saying McDaniel hasn't. I understand it's personnel also.
No, I'm saying it's Chris Grier getting the wrong damn
no.
personnel
Booyah!
packages in there.
Ding, ding, ding.
No,
Ding, ding,
okay.
ding.
Chris Grier
No.
bringing in the wrong
Shit, but
talent.
no, but Bobby
and
Finn's
always
talk.
bringing somebody in that's hurt.
No, but
Brings
Bobby
in
Finn's
wide
talk.
receivers
Dolphin
that are
here.
hurt.
No,
They
Bobby
don't play.
Bobby Finn's talk.
Bobby Finstock said the bigger signing of this season was the coaching staff. So you have an experienced O-line coach in Frank Smith, Matt Applebaum. What is it that they're not doing? Because even with a crappy offensive line, the Bengals somehow made it work last year. Why has it? Give me a reason to how, with the existing offensive line and the personnel that we have, without bringing in new players, those coaches, the so-called experienced coaches, who I believe will find a way to ride the ship, because I'm with you that we have a coaching staff that should be able to do this.
Why are they not? Why is the offensive line still struggling? Why is everything look
even with all this experience? And do not tell me it's only with the personnel, because coaching.
I have an answer.
The talent's not there.
I have an answer.
What?
Because they don't have the powers of Christ, and I know you're Jewish. They can't heal injuries. They don't have magic powers and can heal broken players. That's it.
What's up, Dolphinier?
They can't. What else? I mean, if Frank Smith is one of the top, he was an offensive line coach, one of the good ones. Applebaum, a top college offensive line coach, and an offensive coordinator. I agree. It's not about investment. It's about development. But how can you develop when a guy is not on the offensive line?
Where's the scheme?
You were saying though that Armstead is enough for this offensive line because a captain. We keep talking about captains and having the captains on the field, but the captains every year are not on the field. Xavier Howard gets hurt. Terran Armstead is hurt in New Orleans all the time. Tua's out every year. My ankle, my neck, my back, my crack, my head now. God bless him, but Jesus, come on. So it's our coaching staff, and like you said it, and then Hank responded adequately. And I don't know if he watched overtime, but we were saying it. Brian Flores, Adam Gase, Mike McDaniel, offensive line is an issue. What's going on? What's happening with it? Why do we keep switching coaches? And it's the same freaking issues. Chris Grier. That's
the
it.
talent.
It's
the talent on the team, and that's Chris Grier.
Is that enough for you, sir?
Chris Grier's making the picks.
Thanks, Cap. I appreciate you, brother.
You all suck. I'm still smiling. Okay. Wide receivers. Give me your biggest lemon and how you turn it into lemonade, Hank.
Biggest lemon right now would be our third wide
Cedric
receiver,
Wilson.
which is supposedly Wilson Jr. I guess get him the ball more. That's the only thing I see that you can do is get him the ball more. But he hasn't really done anything for the team to bring him in. Once again, all these millions of dollars. You had Eazy-E on the team. Should have played him. Should have let him go. But no, you got Wilson Jr. instead. So,
FYI, 2%, just in case. If I disappear, I'll try to hop back on through something so I make sure. So
No, you just don't want to be on the bandwagon anymore.
Oh, I'm going to hop on. I'm having a blast.
Oh, JPF Scout already has your Zach Wilson jersey ready for you. Okay. Tight end, fine. Tight before you have your 2%. Tight end.
If the Dolphins drafted like the Jets, we'd be 5-0.
Oh my God! If you had 20 draft picks in 2 drafts, you'd be fine.
Right.
Okay,
yeah, Ross.
So and if you sucked for 20 years, the problem is we've been the most average team in the league for the last 20 years.
Tight end.
Tight end. Before Miss Fins blocks you on Twitter and never lets you guest host. Tell me how we turn the biggest lemon, I think, on the offense, more than the offensive line, the $11 million man, into lemonade. Because I think he's a bust.
You move Mike Gesicki. First of all, he's playing. I want to say that he's playing a system where he doesn't fit, right? So he's not a blocking tight end. He gave up a bad block with Skylar Thompson, which caused a fumble. Of course, you could say he held the ball too long, but it was a horrible block. You put him at the third wide receiver. You get Cedric Wilson out. You put Mike Gesicki as the third wide receiver, and then you get yourself some lemonade. You put Smythe as your tight end. There's your lemonade.
Thank you.
Keep
going. Hank, defensive line, biggest lemon, and how do you turn them into lemonade?
The offensive line.
Defensive
line. Oh, my goodness. The bottom line is we need to get more pressure, but more pressure won't come without our cornerbacks playing and covering people up. So how do you fix that? Well, you can only fix that by the wave of a magic wand and bring people back in. I think by the time the Vikings game starts, we should have a few of our players back, probably even X, which will change all that.
Bobby?
Yes,
linebacking core, biggest lemon, and how do you turn them into lemonade? Because I know who the biggest lemon is because I haven't seen him all season.
Yeah, it's Phillips.
No, where's Van Ginkel? Where's Van Ginkel?
I would say the whole linebacking unit.
Jerome Baker's been fine.
Baker's been doing all right.
Baker's been good.
Yeah,
last name Baker, best name on Twitter. Last name Baker.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. The linebacker's another thing with offensive line. We've been saying it's an issue all year. They drafted Channing Tindall in the third round. We treat him like a first-round pick because he was our only pick.
We're only giving him one snap a game. God damn it.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you got to trust the staff at that point, right? I mean, but again, it goes down to your general manager. Did you make the right pick there? So linebackers, it's the same issue as offensive linemen. It's an issue. Hank's been preaching it since last season more than anybody with linebackers. When I would talk about offensive line, he'd preach, even though he talked about offensive line, he preached linebackers, and it's still an issue. So right now, I don't know if you could make lemonade. All you have is, sourdough.
You got the lemons. They're starting to turn a little bit on you, son.
They're all good. They're all good. I have a great one for you. Now this is a hard one. Give me your lemon in the secondary, Hank. And how do you turn them into lemonade?
That's X. My secondary, X is my biggest problem right now.
Because he can't stay on the field?
How do you turn him back into an all-pro? You get him back on the field healthy. There you go.
Or do you get Jones out there too?
Well, you obviously need Jones too, but in the meantime, you should be keeping X's side complete. I would always keep Holland on the same side as X is what I would do.
I'm going to give you
and you would lock down the one side, and that would be a total lockdown. Then you worry about the secondary folks. What I would do.
I have an interesting question for you, Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
On the defense, just ask me which coach has been your biggest lemon. Easy.
Which coach has
Boyer?
Okay, here's a great question. Internally, who would you replace him with? Don't go outside. If he had to take someone from the defense, who on the defense would you trust right now to manage the entire defense? Is there who would it be? If someone had to, if we needed a change of pace and you needed someone to come up on the defense to lead that defense for the rest of the season because Boyer is not doing the job, give me the biggest sense of lemonade with the most sugar that you would trust to run the defense the rest of the year.
Trust it for now. I'd say Sam Madison. That's who I'd put. I say Sam Madison.
Because?
He has more experience coaching an NFL defense. If Gerald Alexander was still on the team, I'd say Gerald Alexander. But no, I'd say Sam Madison, most experience running a defense. I mean, being a part of an NFL defense compared to Pat Surtain or whatever. I don't trust everybody else because they're still part of that past defense. Madison or Surtain aren't. So I'd say Sam Madison.
Yeah. Hank, same question for you.
I like his answer.
No, on the offense. Without McDaniel, what's the biggest lemon on the offense right now for you?
Without McDaniel?
I'm not including McDaniel. Which coordinator has disappointed you the most?
Whoever the offensive line coach is, of course.
Matt Applebaum, right?
Yeah.
The problem is it him? I'm asking you the question. The one thing that's been consistent for me, I don't know what his role is, But I made a joke about it, and why I talked about Lem and Lemonade was Lem is still there. And he's a similar person. He's the one consistent. How Studsville's there too, but Studsville's doing the running game. The running game is getting a little bit better. McDaniel's sort of running the offense. But for me, I believe that take the two weakest areas we had last year, which are Boyer and Lem, and spark something else there. Do something else, because I think those are the two leftovers from last year that are still weak. So I think those are two areas where I think McDaniel should say, I don't need these people anymore, because assistants still have a role. They still have a connection to these players. Like, there must be something that Coach Lem must have said about Eichenberg, or something that they see, because he's the leftover from last year. So,
well, I could see that being the case too, definitely. Yeah. But on the positive side is you're not stuck relying on them. So I like the fact that, Boyer's the biggest one that needs to come up, in my opinion, out of everybody. Boyer needs to do something. He's got to change something. He's got to slow them down. And
he's a Patriots coach. He's a failure, right?
He's got to slow people down. I don't know what the heck.
He's a former Patriots coach. So the former Patriots coaches, we know what happens to them, right? Let's focus on the positive of the next upcoming game. If everything stays status quo, give me the positive of what we could look forward to. Not score, not prediction. Save that for Saturday. What is there? Give me your positive vibe as we head towards the end of the show, because Bobby needs to go and relax. You need to go relax too after your wonderful pork chops.
Yeah, I gotta go burn one.
I can't believe I chose pork chops. By the way, my host next week is Hank's wife, because I guarantee she still would have been on time.
You're gonna have my wife on?
Yeah, she'd be on time. We know it was you. We know. Don't blame the wife. You're blaming the wife.
Hey, I was on time.
Unavoidably detained.
On my own time.
Give me the positive vibe that you are feeling right now, that tingly feeling that you're feeling on a Tuesday night about the Miami Dolphins, about the current team.
Okay. All right. My tingly feeling is that we have a lot of people out that are going to be coming back soon in the next 2 weeks.
No, I'm talking about this week's game, not past.
I know, but just I gotta prep it a little bit. Bobby does that to me too.
I don't rush you. That's what's
But I think people are going to be coming back over the next 2 weeks, which half of them might come back this week is my point that I'm trying to make, son. And if we get at least half these people back, I think Miami has an actual shot at beating the Vikings. And I'm not going to say what's going to happen yet, because I got to meet with somebody on Saturday. So, but that's about as far as I'm going to go. But that's my most positive right now, is I think we're going to get people back. And I think Boyer's going to be forced to challenge himself now, because I think McDaniel's going to talk with him or whoever about replacing him if this doesn't turn around.
Bobby, what's your tingly feeling?
So, brought up, talk about people coming back. Xavier Howard, if he comes back, that's going to be big. That'll be helpful as long as he's healthy. That matters. I mean, we want him for the long haul, but if he's back, that's going to help with Justin Jefferson, Thielen, Dalvin Cook. The Vikings can't be overlooked. That's going to be a tough team. The positive thing I would say this: win, lose, or draw. If Skylar is the starter, at least he gets a whole week to practice as a first stringer, and it's going to be a tough task because even the defense of the Vikings is going to be tough. But at least it gives him a rep, another tape of film to see what we have in him. As a starting backup, or a number 2 in the future, whatever. That's the positive part of that. We get to see another week of tape on Skylar. But if Teddy starts, that might give Miami a better chance, but I don't think that happens just because 2 days of practice is not going to be enough. He's out till Thursday. The NFL is screwy. They've messed it up. I don't want to get into it. I know we don't have time. But if Skylar's there, that's a positive. I know, it's not the best chance for Miami to win, but at least it's another game just to see, have tape to say, hey, this guy could be a future second stringer for the Dolphins, down the line or whatever.
Sorry, John. No pie, just dabs.
Just dabs. For me, the Dolphin players are embarrassed by what happened on Sunday. They lost to the stinking freaking Jets. And there were more Dolphin fans at an away game than they have ever seen.
It's true. That's
okay?
true.
People like Javon
You're
Holland.
killing me by repeating this, you know.
No, I'm not, because I'm motivating myself here. Javon Holland knows he shit the bed. Okay? Javon Holland knows that he had to be a better captain out there, and he is going to ball out. And for me, my positive tingly feeling is it's freaking Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins has a game of interceptions in that heat waiting for him. The team knows what's at stake. They know that going to 500, losing 3 in a row at home, that this team will turn on them and the boo birds will come out. They want to swim with the Dolphins. They want to have a positive fan base. They do not want to go facing Pittsburgh with all the talk of Brian Flores heading into the next week, into 2 weeks from now, but the fact that they're a 500 team.
Oh, gosh.
It's the last thing we need, because all people are going to say is, oh, if we still had Flores. Oh, there he goes. If we still had Flores on the team, we would be a better team. Because last year we won. You want to know what?
Hey, you can't bring Flores into this.
I'm not. I'm saying Kirk Cousins is exactly what the doctor ordered for this defense, because he is going to shit the bed, and you are going to watch a team play stout defense, because they know what happened to the Jets better not happen again, because they don't want to be known as the same old Dolphins. They want to be known as a team that handles adversity well. And adversity right now is as real as it gets. They need to realize that they need to win, even with all these injuries. Injuries happen in football. The target is on the Dolphins' back right now. The NFL is looking at them and how all the concussion protocols, everything that happened with Ross, everything's been about the Dolphins, and people are wanting the Dolphins to fail. Us as a fan base, and us on this bandwagon, need to keep this team positive and afloat. We have to cheer for our team. We have to support our team. The talent is what it is until new players come in. We have to deal with what we have. Make lemon out of lemonade, be positive, and for me, this team will win on Sunday. Why will they win on Sunday? Because this team has a home field advantage. The heat, that stadium, the fan base, they need a win. And whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Skyler or whether it's Teddy, they know they need to make up for what happened on Sunday. Actually, it's better that we lost 40-17.
I think it's going to be Teddy.
Okay. You think it's going to be Teddy? I think it's going to be Skyler.
I think it's going to be Teddy.
Whether it's either one, you want to what? 40-17 is better for me than losing 21-17, because that embarrassment of the fourth quarter sits with a team. It affects them the entire week. It makes them hit
positive,
harder.
Bro.
I'm about to tell you, it makes them hit harder, makes them throw better, makes them run faster. They know a team is coming in with a better record than them. And what has happened to this team when a team has a better record than them? They play up to their competition. So it's not a bad thing that this team is 4-1, because at the end of this game, they will be 4-2. And this team is going to win 28-17. What I said last game is going to happen this game. Kirk Cousins is going to throw 1 pick, 1 fumble. And this team is going to score. This team is going to win. And thank you, Miss Fins. You're right. Skyler needs to start. Bring Easy in. Everyone just needs to be positive, relax. We're 3-2. There are a lot worse teams in this division than in this conference than us. This conference is wide open.
We're not doing bad. We're not
doing bad.
We're not up in the top, but we're pretty close.
It's 5 games into the year. There's 17 weeks in this season, that extra week. And I'm telling you, this is the soft part of the schedule. And with Tyreek and with Waddle and a full week of practice, knowing who the quarterback is. And you want to think about Skylar Thompson? I'm going to give you a little bit more reflection than on Tua and Teddy. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's a little more durable. If you look at him behind the pocket, he's still green, but he's a bigger guy. He can withstand more. He can withstand those hits a lot more. So for me, give him the reps, give him a chance. I believe he can throw the deep ball, get him going, give him the reps, let him work with Tyreek, let him work with Waddle, let him work with Eazy-E, and let this team fly on Sunday. That's my take. The Dolphins will win. The Dolphins will right this ship. And then when they get their players back, when they get Jones back, when they get Jackson back, when they get X back, just be up 2 or 3 games, and then we'll be fine. We just need to have that motivating factor. And I think McDaniel knows he crapped the bed in his first sign of adversity. He ain't going to do it again. He's going to find a way to make this work. And that's all I have to say. Any final words, Hank?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Vikings game. I think it's going to be exciting no matter whether it's Teddy or Skyler. I hope that Skyler, if he's going to be in, he gets a full week of prep like people are saying. He needs the full week, if nothing else, just to get a little bit of timing down because he's not used to Tyreek Hill speed. He's never thrown to anybody like that.
No.
So, those types of things have to happen. And the guy's got an arm. He was throwing some bullets. He was throwing some ropes.
Yeah.
So I like what he can do. I like his upside. But, his downside's there too. He lacks knowledge. He doesn't read defenses really yet in the NFL. There's a lot that he has to overcome too. But you know what? He can do it.
Yeah.
With those coaches and that staff, it's going to happen. I believe Miami's going to be playing the Vikes hard. And I'll tell you on Saturday what I think.
I think the home field, if this was an away game, we'd have to dig a little deeper. It's an away game. It's a home game.
Night, Thirsty.
Night, guys. It's the home game. And the home crowd has made a big difference in the 2 games we've played there. And I think that's going to make a very, very big difference. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for staying with us for almost 90 minutes. We really appreciate it. And the next time we meet, we'll be talking about the fact that we are 4-2. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And always, as we always say before we end the show, fins up.
Fins up.